It is a staggering statistic. More than 60,000 people in Turkey have been detained or fired or suspended from their jobs following the failed military coup 2.5 weeks ago. Many of them work for state-run institutions. We're talking about teachers, judges, university deans. Others were from the military. And 89 arrest warrants have been issued for journalists like those you see behind me. My next guest says it is all part of a government purge and crackdown on the media specifically. Turkish reporter Mahir Zeynalov, who was expelled from the country 2 years ago, has taken to social media to highlight the journalist's causes in a series of tweets which have now gone viral. He joins me now from Washington, D.C., and thanks for doing so, Mahir. Well over 100 media outlets suspected of, quote, inciting or sympathizing with the coup, unquote, have been shut down, including, I think, your own newspaper. What's been the impact of that in terms of what Turks are hearing and reading about events happening in their own country?
Well, it's exactly right. More than 131 media outlets have been shut down only in the past week. I mean, that's a continuation of the crackdown, massive crackdown that's been imposed upon Turkish media, the critical media. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is not only cracking down on dissenters and trying to crush the critical media, but he's also building his own loyalist media. And the number of the journalists that are detained or arrested in the past few weeks made Turkey #1 in the world, surpassing China in the number of jailed journalists. It's very dangerous and risky at the moment to do journalism in Turkey.
And when we hear of, quote, inciting or sympathizing with the coup, what does that mean? Does that mean simply reporting on it? Does it mean simply giving an alternative point of view to the governments?
Look, Michael, those journalists that I wrote a story of them, I went through their social media accounts on the night of July 15 when the coup was unfolding. Almost all of them categorically rejected the military coup attempt, and they supported the civilian government. It's absolutely ridiculous to call them as supporters of the coup, because most of these journalists were excellent reporters, and they have been always supporting the civilian government. They were always promoting the lesser role for military in politics. So it's unacceptable that they are charged for supporting coup and detained.
I will get to a couple of the specific journalists in a moment and get you to speak about them. But before I do, your tweets about them went absolutely viral, went all around the world. Why did you decide to take that approach?
Look, well, most media outlets all over the world just provided numbers and statistics, and the extent of the crackdown on the media was absolutely jaw-dropping. And when I saw that there are like 88 journalists are sought and wanted for arrest, I thought, like, why not the world is doing anything? And then I thought that there's actually a story behind all these reporters and columnists. I mean, these are my colleagues that I worked with in the same newsroom. These are the colleagues, some of them I asked questions during press conferences, were together tear gassed by police during demonstrations. I mean, these are the reporters that I worked with for years. And I went on Twitter and tried to tell their stories, that they are not only statistics, they are not only numbers, but these are excellent columnists and journalists, and they don't deserve to be detained. And at the end of each tweet, I wrote one word, arrested, as the price they paid for standing up to the government.
And the whole idea was to put a face and a name to these individual journalists. And so let's honour that. Tell me about Şahin Alpay. The word you put out there was, I don't know anyone else who fought for Turkish democracy more than him. Tell me about him.
Well, Şahin Alpay has been a long-time columnist for Zaman Daily, which was shut down this week by the Turkish government. He's a left-wing columnist. I mean, he has always been supporting democracy. He has always been promoting civilian governments because Turkey is known notoriously known for its military dictatorships in the past. I mean, Şahin Alpay was, I mean, if there's anyone that should be blamed for a coup, Şahin Alpay would be the last one.
Tell me about another one. Nazlı Ilicak, I think is how you say it, a staunch supporter, you wrote, of liberal democracy.
That's correct. I mean, Nazlı Ilicak is a conservative one. She's 72 years old. She has been columnist and writer for dozens of newspapers. and everyone knows her. She's absolutely terrific in promoting democracy. She's very liberal, and it's absolutely horrifying that someone like her right now in jail, someone who supported and who backed Turkish democracy for almost decades, are now in jail.
Mr. Erdogan, of course, says he's defending democracy, and many would say the failure of the coup was a triumph of democracy. But is what we're seeing now, I don't know, a slow strangulation of democracy?
That's right. I mean, it seems that a failed military coup d'etat is as bad as a successful military coup d'etat would be. The amount and the amount of crackdown is so massive that teachers, faculty deans, judges, and prosecutors were dismissed or sacked, suspended, or detained, and nearly 20,000 people were arrested. Most of them have any relationship with any type of coup attempt. And it seems that President Erdogan is capitalizing his popularity at the moment. And because the coup attempt is failed, he's now trying to use this opportunity and seize the moment to consolidate his power.
There are these cuts in freedom of speech. There is freedom of the media to report and these detentions and so on. But how concerned are you about the risks of a further move away from Turkey's secular roots, the very foundation of what Kemal Ataturk wanted to see in Turkey, a separation of church and state? Do you fear that there is a move towards a more Islamist Turkey?
I mean, Recep Tayyip Erdogan is himself an Islamist. But when he came to power in 2003, he said that he's no more an Islamist and he wants to be a member of the European Union and he will be more liberal Democrat. But as we see, as he built his own loyalist media, as he consolidated his power, he increased his executive presidency, he is now talking like an Islamist would talk. And on July 15, when there was a coup, when people flocked into the streets to confront the military, the entire Turkey cheered it as a victory for democracy. But we have seen lots of disturbing images of those, jihadists, of these Islamists were chanting, religious slogans, and they were just, some of them were very violent. So these probably are symptoms that somehow an Islamist agenda is on the way in Turkey. But those 1 or 2% they're very marginal segment of a society, but there are worrying developments that Erdogan is using the Islamist rhetoric to crack down on dissent and to solidify his electorate.
Mahir Zeynalov, thanks so much.